Hi everybody, it's Jenn and Kanata, and I wanted to share with you some frugal tips on eating two ingredients that are dirt cheap, but you can make them taste wonderful and can stretch your budget enormously by just incorporating two things that are complete protein when eaten together: rice and beans. So, rice, hopefully brown rice is better for you than white rice. Beans, any type of beans you want. The cheapest things to buy are those two ingredients. I can get both of those things at the dollar store for a pound of rice and about a pound of beans for about $1.25 each. So for $2.50, and that will feed you at least 8 servings, according to the package, of 8 servings of rice and 8 servings of beans for $1.25 each. I'm like, that's crazy. Dried beans are much cheaper than canned beans. That one package of dried beans for a pound, $1.25, $2 or so, you will get about 8 servings for it, almost about 8 cans amount of equivalent. A can of beans where I live, if I'm lucky, I can get for about 79 cents, but usually it's about 99 cents. So you're just saving money on beans. There are so many things that you can do to use beans in. You can take those beans, you can pressure cook them, you can cook them in a crock pot, you can overnight soak them and cook them on your stove. You can do so many things. And then once they're already pre-cooked, you can freeze them. Or you could put them in a pressure canner and can them to put on your shelf. I like doing that myself, pressure canning them, so that I have the convenience of having them on the shelf, because sometimes I forget to soak them. But now I have an Instant Pot and I can do them from dry without pre-soaking in my Instant Pot in about an hour, getting from the rise up and to the rise down. So it's not as bad as it used to be. So with the dry beans, there is a bit more work because of the pre-soaking and that, versus a can one, you just open up a can. But if you pre-plan things and menu plan, that's how you really save money. If you spend time on Sunday knowing that you have a busy week and pre-soak and pre-cook the beans you want for the week, so you can use them in multiple different ways, and even throw some in the freezer, it'll save you time and it'll save you money because you won't be buying the cans. There are so many different types of rice that you can use. You can use minute rice, long grain, jasmine, basmati, calorose, which is like sushi rice, the Italian short grain rice, whole brown rice, wild rice, which I don't know if it's actually a rice. I think it's a different thing. There's black rice too. Anything like that to just change things up. Those other ingredients are usually not as cheap as parboiled white rice, or you can get jasmine or basmati for about the same price per pound. Let's see. There are so many things that you can do with beans. You can make just baked beans. So, like a few ingredients. You could take these navy beans, put them in a crock pot, do the long soak, cook with like brown sugar and maple syrup, not maple syrup, or maple syrup, molasses. Follow the recipe. There's very few ingredients that you need. You can have baked beans, have it with rice, have it on toast, have it however you want, have it as a side to your breakfast. That's like hobo beans. That's what my grandfather used to call it. You can do many things with rice and beans and very few cheap ingredients. You can make a Jamaican or Caribbean beans and rice, where you have the rice, the beans, spices like cumin, allspice, some hot sauce. Either have a coconut milk base or a tomato paste base. depending on which recipe you follow. And you have like diced onions, celery, but you can change up the flavors. So you're still using the basic, kidney beans and rice. And again, you get them dry. They are so much cheaper. Or pigeon peas. Pigeon peas tend to be the one that's where I live in Canada. It's less common, and it tends to be more expensive price per pound than kidney beans. But you can make an Italian white bean and rice soup. It tastes awesome. Very, 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 very cheap. And you probably have almost all these ingredients already on hand. Olive oil, garlic, onion, celery, a can of tomatoes, 3 cups of cooked cannelli beans or great northern beans, basically the beans you use for, or navy beans, any type of beans, but those are the ones that they recommend in the recipe. Italian seasoning, vegetable broth or chicken broth, or bouillon, a cup of cooked white or brown rice, and some grated Parmesan cheese, which is optional. You follow the recipe, you've got to say these things. There's no meat. Meat's expensive. A bean and a rice is a complete protein. You don't need the meat. The ingredients for that particular recipe costs maybe $2, $3, and that's because olive oil is expensive, especially if you have the broth that you made yourself from bones that you're going to throw out. Maybe $4 if you have to buy broth. Not a lot of cost, and it's a pureed type soup, so a creamy soup. It's quite tasty. You could do like a Cajun rice and beans, again, like the Caribbean or Jamaican beans. That one has meat, so you use like some turkey sausage, onions and peppers, garlic, Cajun seasonings, cooked red beans or navy beans, water, tomatoes, and rice, and olive oil. And you cook those up. To do the rice and beans, you do the beans first, already pre-cooked, and then do the rice. You can either cook the rice, already have it all cooked, and then combine them, or cook the beans and then put them with the raw rice and cook it up with the broth and all that stuff. But it's something you can do any type of sausage. You could throw hot dogs in it. Like anything can be done with it to be something different. Changing up the spices is really gives you a bit of variety. Changing up the beans. You could do Fiesta black beans and rice and do it like Mexican. So you have black beans, rice, you could throw corn, garlic, salsa, taco seasoning, oregano, and tomatoes. You got something different. Like try and think of the cultures that eat a lot of beans and rice. They're usually poorer cultures, and they know how to stretch those things and make them taste wonderful, or at least make you feel full. And that's what you're looking for, is to get the fullness and save money. So if you could do any of these rice and bean dishes to complement yourself with a small bit of meat, let's say, and vegetable, you can stretch that meat to be 2 meals. You could stretch your dollars, because rice and beans, you make a big pot, have leftovers. It freezes really well for short periods of time, and you just hydrate it in your microwave with a few tablespoons of water or in the oven. So, not just doing beans, you can do lentils, which is also another legume. Another thing that's really cheap. Legumes and beans and rice are all really cheap. A wonderful lentil soup. You could do a very, very plain lentil soup. You don't even have to measure it. You take your pot and you put water in it, and hopefully broth, so you can have some flavor. Throw the lentils in it, boil it. Follow the directions of how much lentils per water and stuff like that. If you have whatever vegetables you have on hand, celery, onions, carrots, chop it up, you can put it in there. You can season it very mildly with a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic, or you could take it up a level and add curry spices like cumin, coriander, curry, what else? Cardamom, all those type of spices, and making it Indian lentil soup. Those spices just take it to another level. And lentils are dirt cheap. If you had lentil soup, like if you made a pot of rice, put that at the bottom of your bowl, put the lentil soup on top, you have another complete protein. That's going to cost you pennies a bowl. You can do a baked lentil and rice dish. Again, you cook up the lentils, you cook up the rice, you mix them together like a fried rice with whatever vegetables you have and seasonings. If you're going to cook rice, you should try and, instead of having it plain, do it with like bouillon or stock that you have on hand. It adds a different flavor. And think of like tacos, okay? You don't need to put ground beef in tacos. You could have refried beans, so you can make your own refried beans and rice, or make your own just beans and rice dish. Put that in the taco with the lettuce and the salsa, the cheese, tomatoes, and spices. A bit of sour cream if you want. You don't need the meat. You can have the meat, but then it just gives you something different. Taco kits are usually on sale. You can usually find coupons for them, and some places in the States you have like buy one get one free, and your coupons double up, and you can basically get them for free. We don't have that up here in Canada. Most I can get is that if I get taco kits and salsa, I can usually get like $5 off, or I get a free taco kit or something like that. It's not as great deal, but I don't have to use ground beef. When ground beef's on sale, I'll use it. I could use it with taco kits and stuff. You can use shredded beef, do a cheap roast, or shredded pork, or shredded chicken, but make rice and beans. So you're stretching a small piece of tough meat that if you're cooking it in a pressure cooker or like an Instant Pot or a crock pot, is taking that tough meat and making it tender. Adding rice and beans to that, you could take a few bits of meat and more rice and beans, and it'll feel like you're eating all meat, because they have a texture that can, especially in a taco or a burrito or an enchilada type thing, that it will resemble meat. Another thing that you can do is look for recipes that use like chickpeas and black beans, that you can make them into brownies. I have made them. They're gluten-free brownies. You can see them on Pinterest. You can find me under Pinterest, Jenn and Kanata. I have some down there. You take the chickpeas and you grind up with cocoa and sweetener and stuff, and then you bake it like a brownie. It's kind of between a brownie and a cake texture. Same with black beans. High in fiber, low in fat, low in calories, but it has the texture and the taste of a brownie. It kind of tastes like a healthy brownie. Like, when you get those brownies or granola bars you can get at the health food store. They might have chocolate in it, but it's healthy stuff in there too. So you can mash the beans up, make a hummus, like chickpeas, make a hummus. You don't have to do it with chickpeas. You can mash up red beans or black beans, mix a puree with vegetables, make it like roasted red pepper and stuff like that. Increase the nutrition value and the cheapness of it. Make a sandwich and use hummus as the spread. You can make a vegetarian wrap, put hummus down, some lettuce, tomato, cucumber, and peppers or whatever. Throw some rice in there too, making a complete meal. And you could eat that and just take the simple ingredients of rice and beans and make them so many different ways. Look look under Pinterest to get inspirations. That's what I do. I will search for places that use rice and beans as their staple. So places in Asia, places like India, African, Caribbean, what else? Mexican, South American. Look what are typical meals down there. See if you can recreate it. A lot of them have some sort of stewed beans. Like you just make plain rice and stewed beans. You could change up the flavoring. It's kind of like in Canada, we do baked beans. Usually has maple syrup in it. Or you could have pork and tomato sauce, or just in tomato sauce, or in just molasses. You can switch that up. And that was just with navy beans, or white northern beans. You could do that with other things too. You could do those same things with Mexican flavors and Spanish flavors. You just try and find these recipes and see what tickles your fancy. Especially if you get bored and you're trying to do something like Dave Ramsey's plan, or trying to pay off debt. And the way to do that is cutting down your grocery budget and eating as slim as possible. It's not something you want to do for the rest of your life, but if you want to do it for a short period of time of a no-spend month or a low-spend month, and you want to eat lots of rice and beans in your menu plan, you can do it. You might try and spread it out with other things like potatoes or pasta, which are also cheap ingredients that can make a small bit of meat stretch. You can do casseroles with rice and beans and a little bit of meat. Make desserts. As I said, with the brownies with the beans, you can make rice pudding with the rice. There's just so many different things. Hopefully this video has helped you kind of think outside the box. And if you have any questions, please comment below. I will put links to a bunch of these recipes in the description, so hopefully you can try them. Most of them have about 5 or 7 ingredients, not including the rice and beans, but you don't have to use them all. If you don't have that ingredient, don't use it. Maybe substitute for something else. Who knows? It's not you have to learn to cook, so it's not necessarily set in stone. You improvise, and then you might create the next favorite family meal. So hopefully you'll like this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully you like my new hair color. Just got that done yesterday with a bit of highlights. Did it frugally. Went to a friend who's a hairstylist. Did it at her house, and she charged me half of what it costs at the salon. And that's how you do it. And then it still made me feel pretty. So have a great day. See you on the next video. Bye, friends.